Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Sean Lazarus. You're listening to the Finished Podcast. This is the first ever episode of the pro wrestling edition of this show. So sorry about that. You hear my dogs in the background. This is the pro wrestling edition of this show, and much requested. I've gotten a lot of messages about this. If I was doing one, a lot of people know my background. I did indie wrestling for a little bit, 5 or 6 years, something like that. Had some fun with it. Met a lot of really cool people, um, and made some good friends. So today, first ever episode, we have a real good friend of mine. He was nice enough to come on the show, the Pharaoh. So if you're familiar with Virginia indie wrestling, especially in the last 10 years, you're definitely familiar with the Pharaoh. So former NWA Virginia heavyweight champion, and just a really nice guy, really just a really smart guy, really business like mind, and he always had a business like mind for it. We're gonna get him on, and we're just gonna start this bad boy right on up. All right, everybody, I got the Pharaoh on the line on the Finished Podcast. What is going on, my friend?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, man. So I kind of did like a little intro for you, and you'll get a kick out of it when you see it. But we've known we've known each other a long time, man, and we've been up and down the road. But it's crazy to feel how far we've come, man. Like how long we've come. So it's crazy just to see where we've kind of ended up, and you know. It's just, real happy for everything you're doing, man. I know you dip your hand you got your hand in a lot of pots, man.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So I mean, what do you? I guess tell everybody kind of who you are. If people don't know who you are and what you're doing now, what you did do. I guess just give us a few minutes, in case people don't know who you are.
Yeah, man. I mean, I did the Pharaoh character in independent scene for about 10, 14 years, I guess, 12, 14 years. I mean, trained with you in pro wrestling. We went up and down the road together, and then I started a promotion here in Richmond, Virginia, and we did local television on Fox, and had like a couple of wrestlers come down and support us, like Earl Hebner and Mickey James and Magnus and all those guys, and it's been a fun ride, man. I've learned a lot over the years, and did a lot of shows, and wrestled up at with Alpha the Wild Samoan up in Pennsylvania, up in Allentown, and that was a lot of fun. And you name it, I've done it, man. Whatever it took, I did it, man. I was NWA Virginia champion, and GXW champion, and all that good stuff. So, been a fun ride.
What do you think as far as just on the wrestling side of the wrestling side of your life? What do you think has been the most the most gratifying out of everything you've done? Winning belts, training, starting your own promotion. Like, what has been the most gratifying, the most satisfying to you?
For me, just like everybody else. I mean, it's watching wrestling as a child, and then I never thought I'd be a part of it, to be honest with you. I see it on television, and I saw Hulk Hogan and all those guys growing up, and then to become a part of the industry, and to get in that square circle and walk down that ramp, man, it meant a lot to me. So every time I came down that ramp, man, it was important, man. It meant a lot to me. No matter where I was, what city, who I wrestled, I didn't care, man. I just enjoyed doing what I was doing. So for me, it was just a learning, man. The learning how to be a good heel, how to be a good face, and how to put on some quality matches and create characters. So the most important part for me was just the creating part, the entertainment part, the putting on a good show. That meant the most to me.
I think I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What was more fun for you, being face or being heel?
Oh, of course, heel, man.
Of course.
Yeah, heel is where it's at.
Yeah,
heel is where it's at, man.
Yeah, I find a lot of guys kind of have that same. I don't think there's too many guys, even once you get up into the the bigger leagues. I think people still kind of have the same feeling towards that. The only exception being that I see that a lot of guys they prefer to be heel, with the exception of their merchandise sells better as a face. So I think that's probably the only exception, the only reason I think some of them might prefer to be face. But being heel's so much fun, man. I miss it.
Well, if you think about it, it's kind of like being a bad guy in a movie,
Yeah.
or being like that bad guy in like the Rocky movie. If you really think about it, all the best movies, nobody talks about the good guy. They always talk about the bad guy.
Right.
Nobody talks about Luke Skywalker or none of those clowns. They talk about Darth Vader and Drago and all the bad guys. So it's all about being the bad guy, man. It's a lot of fun.
I find that just kind of, I guess, kind of venturing out here, I find that that's the one big thing with today's wrestling is I don't see, especially maybe not so much on the indies, but especially on TV. There's a huge lack of a really good heel, and what a lot of people don't understand is no matter how good your face is, they're not going to get the reaction they want and the reaction that needs to happen without a good heel. And without some of these heels doing their job, it does not matter. I mean, maybe with the exception of Hulk Hogan in his heyday or something like that, it doesn't matter how good you are. You're not going to get that good up and down roller coaster that needs to happen. To have a good match.
Yeah, but you have to believe that your face is in trouble, that he's in danger, that he's going to lose, and that he's going to die in the movie. Like, if you don't have that fact of your guy believing that he's going to die or lose, then you've already lost.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to see Rocky's going to lose his match and lose his family, and you got to believe that Luke Skywalker's going to die and all that good stuff. So you can get behind him and be emotionally attached to him, and a lot of times that doesn't happen. I mean, it's a lot of that in sports. If you look at it, like LeBron James or Steph Curry, man, you got to believe that those guys are in trouble of losing the finals, and then when he comes back, it makes it that much more gratifying.
You think that there's been rumors for years. You think even in the other sports like NBA, NFL, whatever, you think that there's a little bit of fixing in there to kind of make it that storyline-esque kind of scenario?
Absolutely, man. You don't have millions and millions of dollars at stake without somebody controlling something behind the scenes. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, there was a referee, Tim Donaghy, about 20 years ago, that he was paid by someone to kind of officiate the games and make sure they turned in a certain direction. So
Right.
that tells you right there somebody is controlling. Like, you don't have millions and millions of dollars and leave it up to happenstance. It just doesn't work like that.
Right.
Yeah, like, so there's a little bit of home cooking. There's a little bit of somebody behind the scenes controlling the narrative and controlling who's going to win this and make sure LeBron James is going to be in the finals. Because guess what? A perfect example, NBA right now, you got the Houston Rockets and you got the Celtics versus the Cavs.
Right.
Nobody wants to see Houston versus the Celtics in the finals.
Right.
They're going to make sure that it's LeBron versus the Warriors for the fourth time, and because it's going to get the highest rating.
Right.
Last year when they played each other, it was the highest rated finals in NBA history. So the NBA wants those eyeballs again, those impressions. They want that again. So you don't leave all that up to chance. Somebody's doing some controlling behind the scenes.
That's an interesting take on that. It's hard to. I think anyone would find that hard to argue against. I think you could apply that. Control. Well, we don't want to go there, but controlling the narrative with just. I think any type of media in general, like you said, whenever there's millions or billions of dollars on the line, it's hard for some people to kind of fathom that and accept that. There are certain narratives here and there, but anyway, I don't want to. We could go into that, and so that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But
Oh yeah.
I guess jumping back to kind of jumping back to wrestling. How do you feel the indie scene, has changed over the years? And it's only been, what, I'm sure it's been a lot shorter for you. I know for me it's been 8 years, give or take.
Hmm.
Um, how do you feel that it's changed? Say when we were humping it up and down the roads, North Carolina, Jersey. What do you think the difference are back then compared to now?
It's like I told you earlier. Like I don't want to sound like an old man or
No,
somebody that's
of course, of course.
yeah. Back then they focused more on the story. They focused more on the good guy versus the bad guy type deal. Now it's about more business. It's more advertising. It's more it's pay-per-view buys. It's merchandising. It's all these other things that affect the match itself, and that is more commercialized now than anything else.
You think
So,
you think that, not to cut in on you, I just want to, while you're still in that part. You think that when we were coming up, social media had just started to really, what we
mhm.
you remember? Oh man, I can remember walking in the gas stations and you'd holler, "What's your MySpace, girl?" But
Absolutely.
like when we were coming up with, like, that social media was right. It was nowhere near what it is today. It was right on the cusp of where everybody started kind of having a social media profile, and really, even back then, like, individuals had it, but not too many people used it for promoting. They were just starting to use it for promoting. I remember kind of towards the end, I had a separate MySpace profile that was just wrestling stuff, but still, it was nothing like it was today. Do you think that, especially for, in terms of promoting like an event, especially for, I think, on the local level, I think it would have done wonders. I think it does wonders today. And I just think it would have done that much more for us back then.
Yeah, man. But also, with social media, it kind of took away the kind of the kayfabe, the secrecy, the
Yes,
uniqueness about wrestling,
I agree.
because it's just not there anymore, man. Like 9 times out of 10, you know who's going to win matches. You know what's happening behind the scenes. You got interaction on cameras. You got interaction with wrestlers behind the scenes and stuff in locker rooms and dressing rooms and backstage skits and stuff like that. So with social media now, it took away the mystique about wrestling. It took away all that. Everything's out in the open now. There's nothing hidden. It's like almost like social media has taken away the magician's tricks and everything. Like,
I agree 1,000%. I think I know exactly where you're going with that. I agree with you 1,000%. I think that, like you said, it's hard to. The only real way to get over in today's is, okay. So I can remember a long time ago. Somebody very smart told me that there was three big things that you needed to be a successful pro wrestler. One, you had to look the part, you had to act the part, and then you had to be able to wrestle. And he said that you could maybe get away with, to become successful and get into WWE. I remember you could get away with maybe even two out of the three, but you had to at least be able to do two out of those three. You couldn't just do one out of the
right,
three. Like, you couldn't look good, but you didn't have a character, and you couldn't wrestle. You know what I mean? It just couldn't be one out of the three. But
right,
nowadays, it's almost like, because, like you said, there's all the backstage videos and there's all the Instagrams, and all the big top stars, they have all their personal Instagrams, and they're always throwing up backstage videos and stuff like that.
yep,
It takes away that character part. So the only real way you're really getting over nowadays is pure athleticism, because
right,
there aren't that many. The only gimmicks nowadays are really the ones where it's somebody, just kind of, say maybe it's, I don't know, somebody just like with the notch turned up a little bit, like like Stone Cold used to say, he was pretty much himself. He was just turned up. So
Right.
he was just like a turned up version of himself.
Right.
You don't really have any of those mystical characters, and unless you're already established as that, it's not happening. So you can't really get away with a good gimmick anymore. It just doesn't. It doesn't work so much in today's environment. I mean, unless it's something that just blows out of the water. But because of that whole, like you said, the whole social media thing, I think it's really just. I think it's ruined it. I think it's ruined it for, especially for the previous generation. Maybe the current generation. Maybe they're okay with that. Maybe they're okay with people going in there and doing 8 million backflips in a match. And
Well, I mean, you got to realize too, like the only way to combat social media and stuff like that is to evolve and to change with it, to embrace it.
sure,
So a lot of people think it's a bad thing. Like, man, it's not like it used to be, and we used to do this. But guess what? I mean, you honestly have to, if you're a good company or good business, you evolve with the time.
yes, I agree.
Like, for example, Circuit City, they didn't evolve. So guess what? They're out of business.
Right,
So with wrestling, you, instead of saying, hey, man, this is what we used to do, no, you change with the times. You embrace the social media. You embrace the backstage skits. You embrace all that stuff. You use all that to your advantage. So, because what happens is like, if you look around, malls, man, like, malls will be gone in probably the next 10 years.
yeah,
But if you're a good company, you'll say, hey, man, I'll just evolve my company to be online,
yeah.
not have a brick and mortar anymore, and evolve with the times. And that's what wrestlers should do, is evolve and change with the times. And I get it. I understand.
You think that? Do you think that it will? It's interesting because we see indie wrestling feds, especially like Ring of Honor right now, is more popular than it's ever been, and it's not just them. There's a lot of other bigger indie feds, and they're selling out buildings, 1, 2, 3,000 seat buildings, whereas say 10 years ago that just wasn't possible. And
Right.
it's like you're starting to see all these smaller feds actually. I don't want to say compete with WWE, but they're definitely. I think they should be on the radar. Do you think we see a point to where these indie feds maybe get to a point because of social media to where they get just as much, if not more, coverage than say WWE eventually? Obviously not now, but eventually you see it maybe going that route.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, if you look around, it's kind of like the fast food business. I mean, the wrestling industry, I always compare WWE to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like, they're on every corner. Everybody eats there. Nobody wants to admit they eat there, but a lot of people eat there, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning. But nobody wants to admit they like McDonald's. But guess what? They're everywhere, on every block, all over the place.
Yeah.
And so WWE, they have such a dominant hold on wrestling that they are the one place that you have to watch wrestling. Everybody knows about them. It's on every channel. Or it's on almost pretty much every day of the week. There's something WWE related on. There's Monday Night Raw on Monday, SmackDown, and then there's the Bellas. There's all this reality stuff. So they're on, if you really think about it, 6 days out of 7 days. But the good thing nowadays is that small independent places have the internet and YouTube and all this stuff to get not just as much as a presence as WWE, but a big presence on the internet.
Right.
I mean, if you're a small fed in South Carolina, you can, in China they can watch you, in
Right.
the UK they can watch you, and stuff like that. But the key to small independent feds is to stick with what you know. Whatever brought you to the dance, that's what you do it, and you keep doing it. Don't try to do everything. If carve out a niche. If you are a strong style Japanese federation, and that's the wrestling that you go for, then you stick with that, because guess what? WWE isn't doing that,
Right.
or TNA isn't doing that. So find a niche, stick with your niche, and just keep going at it. But when you try to do everything, and then when you try to book bigger names, and then when you try to be something that you're not, that's when you're going to go out of business.
You think that the way things are right now, you think there's an oversaturation, especially with WWE?
I think WWE is on a lot, and I think they could. I think if they cut down half their shows and televisions, we would be fine.
I read where they're talking about they're getting a deal with Fox to do SmackDown Live on Fridays with Fox.
Yeah, yeah.
They said that well, I mean, rumored. Obviously, it's not confirmed. They said, $1 billion deal. I think over 5 years or something like that.
Man, that's great business. It's good for the business.
And they're talking about making SmackDown 3 hours, and then making the. I don't even know if we can call them pay-per-views anymore because everybody has the network. But I guess the pay-per-views, they're going to extend the just your regular average pay-per-view to 4 hours. And then everything beyond that, your SummerSlams, WrestleManias, those are going to be 5+ hours. I think at some point, I don't know, man. I feel like I'll be honest with you. I don't like the 3-hour Raw. I know some people do. Some people think it's great. And I understand that it gives exposure to some of the workers that wouldn't otherwise get it. But I think in the long run, it's hard to produce 3 hours worth of content that has that, that's compelling and has that, roller coaster kind of feel to it. And 3 hours every week of just Raw, I think it's too much.
Well, I mean, being a promoter, that's because we're looking at it from the wrong point of view. We're looking at it from our nose point, from our point of view. Look at it from a promoter's point of view, or from Vince's point of view. The longer he's on, the more advertising dollars come in.
Sure, I understand. Yeah, it's the business side. Sure, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 3-hour Raw is actually only probably 45 minutes of actual wrestling.
Probably. Yeah.
The rest is advertising dollars. It's merchandising. It's eyeballs. It's impressions. So for 3 hours, John Cena comes through, and his wristband is for sale. His belt is for sale. His hat is for sale. His T-shirt's for sale. His drawers are for sale. I mean, get out of here. I mean, everything is for sale on that dude. So the merchandising sales go up. The advertising dollars go up. The company, the stock market for WWE increases. So from a business point of view, hey, that's what they're looking at. But from a fan's point of view, whether it's good matches or bad matches, guess what? We're going to tune in to watch it regardless. Why? Because it's the only thing wrestling on. We don't know when TNA comes on. We don't know when Ring of Honor comes on locally. But guess who we do know come on is Raw and SmackDown. Those are such staples of our everyday life. It's such ingrained in our DNA and in our society. It's going to be on regardless. Regardless of who comes, who goes, who's signed, who's not, who got fired, who didn't. That's an immovable ship that can't be stopped, to be honest with you.
Do you find yourself, because I'm going to be honest with you, I think I'm in this category. Do you find yourself jaded when it comes to watching wrestling at all? Like, do you find yourself, maybe not jaded is the right word, overly critical, as you're watching it, and you just even if it's indie wrestling, whatever it is, do you find yourself overly critical, just from being in the business?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been in the restaurant business as well.
Yeah.
And so every time somebody wants me to go out and eat and meet them, I go out and eat.
Yeah.
And when I get my food, I'm like, I would have did it this way. I would have did it this way. That's overcooked. That's undercooked.
Do you, coming from the restaurant business myself, do you, I know my wife hates this, but everybody that's ever gone out with me, they hate this. Do you inspect your food?
Yeah, of course. And I always find something wrong with it.
I'm always inspecting my food because I'm maybe it's just a paranoia, and you know what? I'd say there's been a handful of times where I've found it and be like, hey man, this chicken's undercooked, or this is missing, this meat smells bad or something. And it's not all the time, but every once in a while it happens, and good thing for my paranoia.
Yeah. I mean, wrestling is the same way. I mean, We look at matches and stuff. We said that didn't make sense. That makes sense. I wouldn't have booked that match. I didn't like WrestleMania. I sat and watched WrestleMania with some friends,
Yeah.
and I was the whole time I was like, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. I don't like this. I don't like that, because we've been in the business. We're overly critical sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they're all about the casual fan. They've already got us. We're not going anywhere. We go and we come, we go and we come, but guess what? We're still going to be around.
Right.
They're after the casual fan that doesn't know about wrestling, that doesn't normally watch, that doesn't normally tune in. So that's what they're at. I mean, they already got us. We've been around 10 to 15 years, and we ain't going nowhere. We go and we come back, we go and we come back. But, yes, I am overly critical and stuff, so that's why most of the time I can't watch. It's kind of like the narrative now with the whole superhero movies. There's a narrative out there now is everybody reaching superhero fatigue, and then you look at the numbers for these big movies coming out.
They just keep
Infinity
going up.
War,
It just keeps going up.
It just keeps going up.
Yeah.
Guess what? We're still going to watch it, whether we get tired of them or not. Somebody's still going out and watching the movies, and they're making more and more money. Infinity War, $2 billion almost. Black Panther, $1.5 billion. I mean, we're still going to watch these movies. Wrestling's the same way. We will still go and support WWE regardless.
I gotta ask you real quick. What did you think about Infinity War?
Man, that was great. It was like we talked about earlier about the villain. It was all about Thanos.
Yeah.
It was a hero's journey for him.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it
too. I for the same exact reason too, because I was worried they wouldn't put enough focus on him, and I love that. Obviously not 100% from his narrative, but like as a lot of it, I'd say 30-40% of it was from his side of the story, from his perspective, and I thought that was awesome. I love the way they did it. I can't wait for the next one, and a little the ending. I understand why they had to do it like that. I don't know, like maybe the finish of it I would have changed maybe a touch, just a touch. I understand why they did it like that, but I definitely give it's such an awesome movie, and I love Thanos as a villain, and anyways.
Yeah, it was cool. It was real good, man. If you really think about it, he's a hero of his own story.
Yeah.
And he never got upset. He never got mad.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. What I love the most is he had a goal, and he accomplished that goal.
Yeah.
Period. I'm going to get that damn glove. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be the most powerful, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it. And guess what? He didn't hurt or kill anybody outside of reaching his goal.
Well, let me ask you this too, just while we're on that note. So, and I understand okay. So I know how it goes in the comics, but the movie, as far as the movie world goes, and we know that the movie world and the comic world aren't necessarily in line with each other. So, I was curious at the I guess spoiler warning, but I'm sure everybody that's gone to see it has already seen it already. But
absolutely.
At the end of the movie, when it showed, after he did the snap his fingers and everybody turned to dust or whatever, it showed the gauntlet was all, destroyed. I'm curious. Now, in the comics, obviously the stones can't really be destroyed, but
right.
It looked like the stones were cracked. Or was that just me? Did it look like they were cracked to you?
Yeah, I saw the same thing, man. I was like, why is the glove all burned up? I don't know. You got me on that one.
That's just a little. It's just a little side. Yeah, that's just a little sidebar. Just curious about that. But I guess. Do you still? I guess back to we digress here, but we could digress all day. I think we could probably do a whole 30-40 minutes just on probably comic book stuff. But
it's crazy.
Do you still have your finger on the pulse locally, like the local scene here?
Pretty much, and it's not because I want to. I just have people calling me and asking me to come back or help out or help run a promotion or Classic Pro and stuff. Those guys are all, most of the guys from my Fed and stuff are working at Classic Pro. Timmy Danger, he's doing his thing locally.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys and stuff in like the Northern Virginia area, they text me and ask advice and stuff like that. So locally, man, I'm still kind of connected. I'm working behind the scenes. And all the guys that used to wrestle for me, they always send me their matches and ask, like, what can I do better? What do you think about this? So a lot of my guys are still out there, Ethan Cross, Gordon Braswell, Diva Dynamite, Timmy Danger, Eddie Diamond, all those guys. They're still doing their thing, and I try to stay connected with everybody.
Yeah.
And then also UCW guys, Humphrey J. DuPont, man, we talk probably once or twice a week about his Fed and his shows and stuff. So, yeah, I'm connected, and I'm probably going to do some stuff like once or twice a year here and there. But,
really?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay connected. Yeah. I'm going to try to do something here and there. I'm not going to do it like I did before where we run a show once or twice a month, 2 to 3 times a year, so I can just stay connected and keep my feet wet, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I was talking earlier, but I'm really talking about Timmy. I was really, I'm really proud of that guy. When he first went out to OVW and trained and everything, and then before I knew it, I didn't even know what was going on. The next thing I knew, the manager, the Book of Life, guy that I know, all of a sudden he's wrestling people, and I'm really proud of him. But I just such a transformation he's gone through.
And he's doing a real good job, man.
He really is.
He's doing a real good job. He's staying positive, and after you sit back and watch people do something for a certain amount of time, he's like, man, look, I put in the work. I've done every aspect of wrestling. Let me give it a try. And he watched NWA, he watched GXW, he watched all the different fans in the area, Richmond Lucha, and he's like, man, look, I'm going to give it a stab, man. Because he was so used to saying, hey, I would do it like this, I would do it like that, then why not now? Why not give it a try?
Right. And then the combo of the 1-2 with him and Neil, I think it's just I think it's such an awesome combo with them two, and I always love Neil, and I haven't seen any of those guys in such a long time, but I think it's so awesome that he's doing his thing and everybody's doing their thing, and
yeah, and what I've learned the most in the wrestling business is it's just about consistency.
Yeah.
Doing it and staying with it. Because what happens is a lot of people, they see, like, to say, Jimmy Dream. They see a guy like him make it, and then they wonder, like, how, they think it's like overnight or something, but it's not. I mean, it probably took him 10 to 15 years to get to that point. And he kept grinding every weekend and doing shows, and it's the small little things daily that equals up over a period of time that equals success. And it's just about being consistent and staying with it, man. That's all it is.
I realized this many years later who he was. I just didn't keep up with him, and I didn't realize who he was eventually. And for those who don't know, Jimmy Dream is who James Ellsworth is. Prior to James Ellsworth, he was Jimmy Dream, and like he wrestled like the Maryland, Northern Virginia area. I don't know where else he worked at. I'm sure he worked more places than that, but that's where I know him from, is like the Maryland, Northern Virginia area. And I'm pretty sure he was the reason why I didn't get booked at a certain Fed. I don't want to say their name anymore. So, matter of fact, I'm all but positive because I got confirmation from a couple other guys. I got confirmation from I was talking to God, and this is going back too, but the Barbie Shields and Marcus Dowling. I was talking to them in a car ride one time, and this was this was like a year or two later after that happened. And I think I got confirmation because his boy, we kind of crapped on his boy, I guess, that we were working a tag match with, and I don't know. I guess even back then.
That was pretty ugly, right?
Yeah. His boy was. I mean, when I say green, I mean like I don't even think he's gone through training green. I think he literally just kind of put him through a match, and it was me and I just don't remember the guy's name. My apologies, but it was me and the new guy against Draymond. Remember Matt? It was against Draymond and him and Jimmy Dream, and it was just he was clotheslining Draymond in the throat, and just really just being stupid out there. And I thought we were kind of doing the veteran thing. I got him out of there. I tagged him out on purpose, and then just kind of got him out the ring hard way, and we finished the match. I mean, he was hurting people, and it didn't look good. And I don't know. I thought at the time we were doing the right thing. Maybe not, but
right.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I'll never forget a time. We had a show down in North Carolina. It's me, you, Timmy Danger. We're all in the car. We're heading down, and we're at, I think it's XIW Wrestling. And so we're getting ready for our match. We wrestle, we come back, and then you got a match. You wrestling somebody. I think it was after us or before us, whatever. And so you were doing your little Bret Hart thing, man. So you had I think you the Malibu Prodigy Sean Calloway.
I don't
remember that.
Yeah. I don't. Did I do that? Yeah. Did I do that in Carolina?
I think you did.
Okay.
All right. So you come. So you're coming out to the ring. I think you had like a jacket on or something, a shade.
I had a vest.
And
yeah.
A vest.
Yeah.
A vest. And then your music hits. You walk out with your shades on. You look around. You look to the left. You look to the right. And then you take off your shades, you look again, and then you walk back through the curtain, put your shades back in the locker room. You put your shades back in the locker room, and then you walk back out to the ring.
I know exactly.
And me and Timmy are dying laughing. We are dying laughing.
Look. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was all right, look, no, that was it wasn't XIW, but it was in Carolina. It was when we went to Havelock, North Carolina. I'm sure you remember Havelock. This was Havelock, Havelock, North Carolina. It was Valak's Fed. I don't remember. You remember Valak?
Oh, of course I remember.
Well, yeah, how could you forget him? But it was his Fed, whatever that was, and matter of fact. That was the night that I worked Wayne, and what had happened was I had my sunglasses on, and for some reason, I guess I kind of had like a brain fart, and I wasn't sure where to put my glasses. I was about to cut a little pre-match promo just to kind of get a little heat before the match started, and I have no idea to this day. I have no idea what I was thinking. I have no. I have no answers for that. I don't know, man. I think I just had a brain fart and I had a moment.
So yeah, we were saying pretty much that we guess we thought you were afraid that you were going to lose those $3 shades somewhere, that somebody was going to steal them.
Hey man,
so you just bought them in the convenience store before we got there.
Hey, look, those $3 shades when you spend $20 getting to the show, those $3 shades mean a whole lot. All right. When you spend $20 getting to the show and you don't get paid, those $3 shades means a whole lot.
Oh man, look, and then another time, man, me and you wrestled up in PA one time, man, NWA East, something like that.
Yeah.
And we wrestled up there. My match was shitty, and then it was time for us to go. And so we're in the car. We're halfway down the street. We're about 20 miles down the road. You're like, wait a minute, where's my bag?
No.
And we're like, you put it in the car. Then we stop, open the trunk, you're bagging in the car. I'm like, oh shit. So we drive back to the arena. Everybody's looking for your bag. Can't find your bag. Nobody knows where your bag is. So you have no more gimmick anymore.
Yeah.
No boots. No nothing. I'm like, Calloway, how did you lose your bag?
Man, well, did we even see that? I guess that's the part that's been so long. My brain is kind of fuzzy on that. Here's what I remember, and I guess, like I said, I my brain is fuzzy. I remember. Okay, I remember we did the show. I remember we went to the car, and I'm pretty sure because 90% of the time you usually drove, so I'm pretty sure it was your car. Yeah, it was your car. Okay, so
Yeah.
what? So we got back to your car. We packed up or whatever. For some reason, I remember having my bag in my hand. I remember me and you went to go check on the pay. So we went to the promoter and was just gonna, we were gonna see what was going on because we weren't sure if we were getting paid or not. So me and you went to the promoter, and I remember him saying something to the extent of, oh, we didn't have enough people in the seats or something. The crowd, wasn't a big enough crowd, something to that extent. And I think what I think happened was I think right there because for some reason, like I said, I took my bag with me. I think right there is where I left my bag. I am to this day, I'm fairly certain of that. The only part I'm not certain of, I don't remember. I don't remember coming back and looking for it. I remember finding out once we got to your place, your apartment, in Richmond, because because I drove to your apartment and we all met up there at your place.
Yeah, I supposed to rode down the road a little bit, and you thought about it, and we went. Did we go back?
See, I don't remember. I don't. I mean, you might be right. I just don't.
Yeah, yeah.
You might be right. My brain is that's I remember losing the bag. I remember getting to Richmond and just finding, went to open up the trunk and we're just like, wait a minute. Where's my bag at? And it was just a terrible feeling, man. I remember it was a terrible feeling. The boots were brand new. They were, $150, $200 boots. Those are the most expensive part.
Wow.
I had I had a couple gimmicks in there. I mean, my whole wrestling career was in that bag.
Wow.
That hurt, man. Let me tell you what, that hurt. That hurt big time. That hurt my feelings big time.
We're bringing up some bad feelings here on the podcast.
I guess I'll bring up one more last bad feeling was I don't know, you weren't really. I'm sure you probably heard about this, but all right, so I had won the NWA Alpha title, blah blah blah. That part's not important. It's just important that I had it. So I had won the Alpha title, and for some reason, I took it with me to this thing we were doing. So Sage Hilton calls me, and I was training for him at that time at his XFW. I don't remember now, XFW, and he said, "Hey," he had told stories about him before. He said, "New Jack's in town," and he had told me stories before that New Jack used to live with him, and they were like best friends. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. People just talk shit, So I really didn't. Every time he told me a New Jack story, I was like, whatever, dude. I don't, whatever. And sure as shit, he calls us. He said, "Hey, man, New Jack's here. We're gonna do a show." Okay. So I'd called up. I think I rolled up with Draymond, and we roll up, and Phil Brown's there. New Jack's there. He's there. Oh my God, Victor Griff, and it was when. Oh man, him and this dude were a tag team. I don't remember their tag team, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Okay, so it was them, and then a couple other guys that I don't know who they were, but those were the ones that I remember seeing up there, and I'm like, well, damn, Phil's here, New Jack's here, shit. So we get in there, and New Jack made me and Matt basically have to do a rehearsal match for him in order to have a match on the show. Now, mind you, I was, Sage could have easily vouched for me and him because we were trainers at his school, but he didn't. Anyway, that's beside the point. I think he could easily vouch for us, but he didn't. Anyway, we do the match, everything like that. I had brought, for whatever reason, I had left my belt in my bag, I guess from whatever previous show I was at. It was just in my wrestling bag. Because 9 times out of 10, I probably just left it in there. And and I brought my whole gear bag with me, like I was doing a show, because that's what he said we were doing. So I brought the whole thing, and I guess I know my belt was in my bag, and left it in the back, and we had like a whole stage area, whole dressing room kind of area, and it was like curtained off. So once you came out towards like ringside, it was curtained off, and you couldn't see. Somebody could be back there rummaging through your stuff. You really wouldn't know, because the whole thing was curtained off. So we did the match, and it was, kind of a sucky match, but it was what it was. Talk to New Jack for a minute. Oh, okay. All right. Let me give you all of this. So so before the show starts, New Jack, we're all standing back there, and New Jack is we're all kind of gathered around, and New Jack says, "Who's gonna get me my liquor?" And he looks at Draymond. Mind you, we're way down. I don't know if you ever knew where it was. We're way down Jeff Davis.
Oh yeah. I know where it was.
Okay, so we were way down Jeff Davis, and there was a couple liquor spots there. But New Jack looks right at Matt and says, "Who's gonna get me my liquor?" And Matt says, "Well," he's like, "You gonna give me some money?" And New Jack just kind of looks at him, and I think Victor Griff kind of spoke up, and was like, "No, I got it, New Jack. I got it, Jack." Anyway, they went and got that, but anyway,
wow.
we do the match, come back, and the Alpha title is missing. It's gone.
Oh.
So to this day, actually, I noticed it once we got home, because I pulled the bag out and I noticed it was much lighter. I didn't notice it, I guess, when we were loading up, but noticed it was much lighter, and Alpha title was missing, and Rick had a shit fit. Understandably so, but Rick had a shit fit, and that was a terrible feeling. I lost, it was a full custom belt too, and I
wow.
On my watch, it was gone. So terrible feeling. Yeah.
That is not a fun feeling.
No, it's not.
Wow.
I really felt bad for all that, but
wow.
Yeah, man.
Some old memories, man.
I'm telling you, man. Well, look, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna kind of close this down, man. But that was good talking to you, man. It was fun getting on here. I'm sure, like I said, we could probably do this. I'm sure you could probably do this once a week, and it probably have different stories every time. But
oh my God, I got stories for days, man. Stories for days.
But I'd like to get you come back on, man. Like I said, if anything, we'll just just kind of BS about the current state of wrestling, man, and just kind of, especially with the local stuff. I'd really like to. I wouldn't mind getting more involved in the local stuff. Just kind of, if anything, just maybe having some of the local guys on, and kind of get more involved with that. I wouldn't mind doing that, and really just helping do what I can, maybe to help give some people some free promotion. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, my goal is always to leave it better than when I found it.
Yeah.
To do what I can to further it along, to make some characters that people remember, to entertain people, and before I leave, man, I got to give a shout out to Dave McLeod, man.
Yeah.
That guy gave me a chance and gave me an opportunity, and he stuck his neck out for me. One of the best business partners I ever had. So, shout out to Dave McLeod, Luke Cole.
Oh wow, Dave McLeod, New Toe. Oh my God, man, that's
good
wow.
dude, man.
He's a good dude.
He's a good dude. Trained a lot of people, put it all on the line, gave us all opportunities and stuff. And there's nobody around the business in this area that he didn't have anything to do with. He's connected with a lot of people. So
he little side note, Dave McLeod. I don't know if he knows this. The very first time I ever met him, we were training. It was me, Matt, and Roach, and we were told to come up if anybody wanted to come up. It was like on a weekend, and it was Cal and Kelly school, and they were doing this thing where if you wanted to come up and train with McLeod, and they expressed that McLeod didn't mess around, that he was super serious, and just kind of warned us about him. And I'm not gonna lie, first time I met McLeod it was like on the weekend. It was like a Saturday or something, and dude rolls up in like steel toe boots and a t-shirt, and I was, oh shit. So he scared the hell out of me the first time I met him. So just want to
Yeah, he's like the boogeyman. There's a legend about him, man. But once you
he's a good guy. He's a real good
yeah,
guy.
oh great guy. Once you get through the mythos and you friends with him and stuff, man, he's a friend to the end. I tell you that.
Man, I gotta tell this quick story too. One time, do you remember this guy? He came up and this is when you guys were off of Hungry Road, and this was when I was going there, I guess semi regularly. This guy came up in there like this army dude and was like trying to like legit shoot fight with everybody. You remember that guy?
I remember that guy.
So, and I'm like, all right, I got this. And I remember, I don't want to talk about too much what happened, but I got the guy, tapped him out a couple times, and McLeod, he pulled me aside. He's like, thanks for doing that. So, no, I love McLeod, man. He's a good guy. But all right, man. Well, like I said, I don't want to hold you up too long. I thank you for your time, man. And I know I know you're at work and busy guy. And like I said, man of modern day Renaissance man, got his hand in many pots. So thank you for the time, my brother. And I will we'll be in touch with you soon, man.
All right, brother. Thank you for everything.
Have a good one, man.
You too.
All right, everybody. That was Mr. Pharaoh himself. Good guy. Probably could talk another few hours with the guy. We used to talk all the time. Like I said, go up and down the road. But please, if you like the interview, and really, I mean, I really hate to call it an interview. I'm such good friends with him. I just, just kind of a conversation. It's kind of weird, kind of talking in this kind of format. Usually it's just like a phone call. Hey, what's up, man? What are you doing? And it's a little awkward. Not awkward, but it's just different talking in this kind of format. But please, if you liked it, please share this. Please like this. Like the page. Like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. Like I said, it really helps us out a lot. And let me know if you liked the wrestling edition of this. I got a couple more planned right off the bat, but please let me know. Let me know if this is what you guys want to see, especially the wrestling fans out there. Let me know if you guys want to see what you guys want to see more of. Who do you want to see me get on here? I've got a few connections here and there, so I can kind of pull some guys. But anyway, just let me know, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.